A society grows great when old men plant trees, the shade of which they know they will never sit in. Good people do things for other people. That's it, the end.
Historically, Indian films have institutionalized domestic abuse to the point that it appears to be the norm in households and public places. Regrettably, many of these movies conclude with the abuser and the victim living happily ever after, which is problematic. The strong desire to gloss over this terribly grim issue frequently reared its ugly head and steered viewers to a conclusion that never quite explained the injustice handed out to the victim. However, 2 decades into the 21st century, we are progressively seeing improvements in the way abuse is depicted on television in our country. People are steadily influenced by visual media, whether it be Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube, games, or most significantly, films and television shows. To comprehend the severity of the situation, it is essential that in addition to showing the abuse on screen, they also portray the agony, suffering, punishment, and the justice in equal measures. For example, Iraivi, while not completely delving into the intricacies of domestic violence, shows how strong a person can be through yalini in a relationship soured in harassment by someone you trust. Darlings, which is astonishingly brutal, shows how a history of violence dawns a newfound resilience in a person to great satisfaction. Thappad, meanwhile, portrays how a victim can find people with similar experiences not too far from their own vicinity and that it is all too common. But my personal favorite of all is the 2022 Malayalam film titled Jaya 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 Jaya, which does something extremely clever. It portrays abuse through satire built up in crescendos of intervals. The professor strikes Jaya in front of a friend, setting the tone for what is to come. Both Jaya and her companion are aware that something terrible is about to occur, but they can do very little, as is common in similar cases in life. When the physical attack occurs, Jaya briefly glosses over the incident and jokes that her nose ring is missing. This sequence serves as a symbolic portrayal of what victims of abuse experience. The incident is just brushed under the carpet. The levels of abuse don't just always stay physical as well. Words leave stronger scars sometimes, and this is subtly infused immediately when her parents and her maternal uncle indirectly slut-shame Jaya in her vicinity with next to no retaliation. What is the solution to all of this? Of course, a non-consensual marriage proposal idea, as was the norm. The movie's excellent use of build-up to slowly illustrate Jaya's journey to her breaking point is beautiful to watch. For example, the filmmakers show Jaya overhearing her dad and her uncle talk, and there is a distinct sigh of defeat on Jaya's face. And it is necessary to show such small reactions, as clearly it is her pent-up anger and emotions that would later turn the tides in her favor. The topic of abuse, both mental and physical, is a sensitive one to approach on screen, especially from the victim's point of view. So it is an absolute breath of fresh air when this film inculcates satirical comedy to enunciate Jaya's feelings of relief and couldn't care less attitude. There is this sequence where she is being married off, and as she is leaving her parents' house to her in-laws, everyone cries and she is bewildered. She is just happy to escape the drama she has faced all since her childhood. The torment, the discrimination as a girl child, and the lack of attention. She therefore feels a tinge of relief and freedom as the car departs. But of course, she does not know she is going to face worse demons soon. Rajesh starts showing signs of violence not on Jaya first, but on things and people around her. He throws the TV's remote violently on the floor by snatching it from her mother, just as Jaya talks about her studies. He tramples the chilies laid on the floor because it is blocking his path to take his vehicle outside, as her mother watches on in hopelessness. The first act of abuse on Jaya occurs 40 minutes into the movie after several false dawns where we expect him to snap. But take a look at her mother's reaction and her sister's reaction immediately after the first slap. Her mother just glances at Jaya as if nothing happened, and her sister asks the question anyone would ask if something trivial happened. It is as though they were expecting him to do this sooner or later, and that is telling. All along, Rajesh's family keep telling Jaya and everyone else that his son is a good person. He's not like angry always, and he's always been brought up well. Subverting the truth with a domino of misinformation, even when you know someone is wrong, is how chauvinists and abusers like him get away with their behavior for so long and so easily. The movie shines, and I mean shines literally, in terms of shining a light on the ludicrous thoughts that the perpetrators have and how they validate their misdemeanors. Rajesh says he did it in a fit of rage and then takes Jaya out to a movie and a restaurant. And as she eats something which she did not even want in the first place, his narrow-mindedness prompts him to ask, "Aren't you alright now?" and if she was happy. As the slaps incrementally increase, the damning indictment of disgust is the normalcy to which everyone around Jaya responds with. Her mother-in-law hears the slap and resumes making food with little to no concern. She turns to her mom for support, but as is synonymous with yesteryear whataboutery, she starts advising that we women need to adjust to all of this. And as things get even worse, she turns to her brother. He does not show any concern either and does not come to help. She confides in her father as well, and he remarks, "That is how life is," while he gluttons his way to a wholesome meal on the other side of the phone. All the while, Jaya's reaction to the violence goes from shock to a predictable expectation. She endures it helplessly, and as no one comes to her aid, she realizes that it is a way of life now and she needs to be her own support system. Satire is an important piece of work in this movie because inherently it is a way to improvise on how to illustrate retaliation and to show enough is enough. Films are a spectacle for us to visually engross ourselves in, and if you work so hard to show someone in a very negative shade convincingly, why not show the protagonist just as convincingly, or in this case even more victoriously? Jaya 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 Jaya's excellent hold on the audience arrives at the very moment Jaya's crescendo of receiving abuse reaches its peak, and she blocks one of Rajesh's violent advances, pushes him, and absolutely kicks the living daylights out of him. See, if you show any other way this movie could have been taken forward from here to bring justice to Jaya, it would have probably worked. You could have taken the lawyer route immediately, or you could have sentimentalized her trauma, or you could have also had her commit suicide as showcased, stupidly I must add, in movies gone by from yore. But this physical retaliation and the subsequent montages of her training for this moment is important. It is in my opinion not the intent of the movie to say treat violence with violence, but rather I think of Jaya as justice to any forms of abuse. You can only commit a crime for so long, and eventually it catches up to you. The abuser loses everything. They lose their sanity, they lose their livelihood, and eventually they lose their identity. No one will respect them anymore, and life will come full circle. See, what is life but coexistence? And how can you coexist when you break the realms of trust and boundaries? It's not possible, is it? So this movie in the end is a crucial watch for everyone. Not because of satire, not because of comedy, and not for revenge, but to comprehend that chauvinism, violence, and dictatorship has no place in the domestic household. It raises awareness, it promotes empathy towards the victims, and vitally, it breaks the silence and encourages the victims to find their voices again.